Good evening and welcome. The headlines tonight. As Tala X-ray controversy deepens, the HSE asks other hospitals to confirm they don't have problems. Aer Lingus says all cabin crew who voted against its restructuring plan will be made redundant. The UN's Climate Change Advisory Panel is to be reviewed after admitting inaccuracies in reports, and thousands of foreign nationals who married in their embassies here are told their marriages are illegal. The United Nations Climate Change Panel is facing an independent review of its performance. Secretary-General Ban Ki-moon announced the review after the panel admitted it had projected inaccurately the pace at which global warming would melt the Himalayan glaciers.
It's just 3 years ago since the IPCC published its fourth assessment report into global warming. It concluded it was more than 90% certain human activity was responsible and urgent action was required to avoid dire consequences.
Let us move on from the debate about science to focusing on what on earth are we going to do about a world that has to learn to live with climate change already.
However, recently the IPCC has accepted that the report contained errors, including overstating the speed with which glaciers would disappear. Today the UN's boss announced a review but warned climate science itself was sound.
The threat posed by climate change is real. Nothing that has been alleged or revealed in the media recently alters the fundamental scientific consensus.
A grouping of independent world science academies will lead the IPCC review, although the UN itself is picking up the bill. The IPCC accepts it's necessary. Those undertaking the review say such activity is normal.
Any scientist goes through periodic outside review, and I think it only strengthens the science.
However, surveys suggest the public is questioning climate science because of the IPCC errors, as well as hacked emails from a leading British university. Whether this review will be capable of turning that tide is an open question. Paul Cunningham, RTE News.
The UN IPCC also made another huge mistake when they predicted that North African crop production could be reduced by up to 50% by the year 2020. The prediction was based on a 2003 policy paper which was not peer-reviewed by other scientists. The IPCC also made a massive blunder when it claimed that more than half of Holland was lying below sea level, when in reality it's only about a quarter of that country is below sea level. Another IPCC error was where Antarctic sea ice increase was underestimated by 50%. The IPCC also stated that natural disasters such as hurricanes and floods were on the increase, and again that this was due to global warming. But it has emerged that the statement made in 2007 was based on an unpublished report which again had not been properly reviewed by other scientists. The list just goes on and on. In addition to the items already mentioned, there are incorrect predictions about the Amazon rainforests, and again most of these errors stem from the IPCC's reliance on non-peer-reviewed sources. And in this respect they are breaking their own rules. The other thing, of course, is that despite all of their predictions, we can all see the Earth is actually getting colder. One of the world's leading climate modelers is Professor Mohib Latif. Professor Latif is a prominent scientist at the UN IPCC's Climate Research Group. Based on his analysis of natural oscillations in water temperatures in the oceans, Professor Latif has predicted that we are in for 30 years of cooler temperatures. He calls it a mini ice age. In the light of all the recent scandals concerning the UN Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, there are now many scientists all over the world who are coming out against human-caused global warming. Previously, these scientists would have been afraid to come out for fear of losing their jobs, and also for fear of stopping the massive flow of funding which continues to flow into climate science worldwide. It is also increasingly obvious that human-caused global warming is not in fact driven by science. It's driven by the politicians and the vested interests who stand to make the billions and trillions from carbon taxes.